Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. Well, we are here and the weather is not doing what it's supposed to be doing here in the Midwest. Spring is supposed to be springing, heading towards summer, and the temperatures are not cooperating these past few days. But it is Michigan, so we're excited about it. I'm in the studio today. It's myself and my main man, John B, in the place to be. What's good, John?
Hello, hello.
John, we have been noticing everyone across the Northern Hemisphere, actually all the way down to Florida, the whole issue with the Northern Lights. What's it called?
Aurora Borealis.
I knew you would know it.
I'm a nerd.
I knew he would know it. Aurora Borealis.
Correct.
And this particular time that we were seeing what is also known as the Northern Lights, it is that beautiful display of color that we see in the sky, normally in the far, far, far north. And I think they said that Iceland gets the best view of all of this stuff. But what we've seen is that this has been seen as far as Florida, like Texas and Florida, because of, and I tell people this all the time, some things that are beautiful often are a display of something that probably is quite dangerous. But solar flares and the sun releasing its gases and impacting the earth. There was one point that they were thinking that there might be interference with radio waves that were taking place because of it. But did you get a chance to see any of this beautiful stuff that's taking place? Any of the beautiful images?
I saw some of the pictures. I did not get to see it in person.
Man, so neither, and I'm a sky watcher, and that's the thing that really perturbed me, because I get pictures of satellites and pictures of this and, the sunrise and sunset, but I did not get firsthand accounts of the Aurora Borealis. Did I get it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. The Northern Lights this time. But one of my friends took the most amazing. They were out on the harbor and just happened to be out there to go grab something and looked up and just saw this amazing display of purple and hues of red and green. And it was absolutely amazing. And I was really excited to see them. So I stole those pictures. I gave them photo credit, but I posted them on some of my social media pages, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I missed it." I was like, "Yeah, you should have caught the pictures." But anyways, it was a great time. That is happening. We are here in Michigan. We are on the precipice of something that is so really cool. Canada will be making their invasion southward.
That's the best way I've heard it put.
How have you heard it put otherwise?
Well, the 2024 Memorial Cup presented by Dow is coming to Saginaw.
Yeah.
But Canada is invading us.
Yes, they're making their invasion southward. And so the Memorial Cup will be in full swing in just a little bit. I believe players are already here and people are making their ways in. I've seen buses coming in. Maybe it's like just those, what do you call it? Preliminary review people. But I've been seeing, yeah, that's probably what it is. But it's pretty cool, seeing the buses coming in, the Canadian buses coming in, and I've run into some people that were out eating. And so it is getting ready to happen. Michigan, Saginaw, if you're ready, it's going to happen whether you're ready or not. This city has been undergoing. Have you even noticed the transformation of things that are taking place? The community is out cleaning. You got to clean your room up when you got family and company coming over. So we're cleaning up the house, doing dishes, fixing roads. I'm really loving it. They did the initial ribbon cutting for the upgrades inside of the Dow Event Center. Have you been able to see? Did you go to see them at all?
Yeah, I've been in and around there.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you've been in there also with the whole hockey thing.
Yep.
Up until this point. So the Saginaw Spirit will be a part of it. I think I'm looking at this. It's funny how you look at it. A year out from it, how you see it. But then how you begin to kind of like, as it settles in, how you begin to view it. And now I'm seeing this as really kind of like a great experiment for things to come, and the potential for the Great Lakes Bay region to be able to host other events that have the possibility to coming, basketball tournaments and just other things that I think that really the Dow, which is underutilized, has the potential to do, and especially with the amazing outdoor space that they have at the Jolt outdoor park, I think is that absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited to see what takes place. I know I've been getting hit up left and right by the administration and the city officials like, hey, we need kids here. We got this going on. There's now outdoor field hockey that's taking place, which is going to be really cool. So bring your kids downtown if you're coming. There are so many things that are happening. You probably have the scoop since you are a radio WSGW personality as well as news guy. Share with us some of the great things that people will be able to experience.
There's going to be obviously a heck of a lot of hockey going on over the course of 10 days. It all starts off on Thursday, the 23rd. There's going to be a short parade and an opening ceremony as the Memorial Cup is brought into the Jolt Credit Union event
Now,
park.
how far is that going to be?
It's not going to be very far.
Okay.
It starts on the other side of the Henry Marsh Bridge.
Oh,
okay. Going in and around.
That's why we got pictures down there too. There's pictures everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But and then the hockey actually starts on this coming Friday, I guess. And that will be the champions of the Ontario Hockey League, which is the Saginaw Spirit are a part of, but they've been knocked out of contention for that title. The Western Hockey League and the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League, which it was recently announced, the Drummondville Voltigeurs are the champions of. So we know the Saginaw Spirit and the Voltigeurs will be in the tournament beginning on
the
Friday.
Voltigeurs.
Yes. There's going to be a whole lot of other stuff. There's going to be concerts. There's going to be a speaker series.
And really, I mean, when I'm looking at what's being presented, and shout out to stars out there, Jamie Forbes and Glenn Steffens, who are doing an amazing job of helping to mobilize not only our community, but really those who are coming in and with shuttles and, incorporating really with the mobilization effort. And I'll say this because this is always one of my issues. I love the fact that we have opportunities to bring these things in, but I hate when our residents are disenfranchised from the process and having fun and being a part of it. And what I've seen take place, since I've been bantering on my horn, no, but what I've seen take place is really stars being a connector of this region, actually the Tri-County region, if you would, helping making sure that Midland is being able to get in, and because it's not just about being able to have access, it is also about being able to get in. When you have that many people, what's the estimation of numbers of people that they're saying?
I think tens of thousands.
So
I've seen between 15 and 20,000 being the estimate.
I mean, so you're looking at people that are not only going to this thing, but then people like to be a part of the event and the surrounding things. And there's outdoor spaces that are broadcasting the game on outside, and there's music venues, and it's a big party that is coming to downtown Saginaw, which hasn't seen this kind of activity probably in about 4 decades. And so we're seeing the emergence of something that's amazing. And so people want to come out and they want to be, I like to be where people are. Some people are like, I love being where people are. I love being in the center of things. That's what we saw with Detroit hosting the NFL draft. They were breaking records because people wanted to be in the mix. And so now we see the same thing being given the opportunity here in the city of Saginaw. And people want to be in the mix. And so stars, I want to give you a shout out. I don't care what anyone else says. But when I looked at the plan and I sat in with Jamie and Glenn, and they kind of showed me, look, yeah, we're going to be adding these shuttles here so that people can get from downtown, because traffic is going to be an issue. I was talking with rental car companies, just curious. And they're like, we're completely sold out. There's nothing that you can get like already. But just the shuttles from downtown to Old Town, and making sure that those businesses that are there are being able to be supported and have some of that fun. There is the new creation of the food truck circle or avenue outside of the Dow, just to the east of the river. I mean, east of the west of the building.
Yep.
In that area. With the lights, and I went through there, saw the string lights in there and everything, and so I thought that was cool. And then also, Rita's Soul Food Cafe and some of the other things, Valerie's, these places are in the mix, and with the transportation gives an opportunity for them to really benefit and be blessed by this.
There are events going on all around the city, and I think the biggest thing that I want to encourage people to do is to explore. There's going to be a heck of a lot of people at the Jolt and at the Dow right there in downtown Saginaw, but there's going to be so much going on around the area that just taking a walk down the street in downtown, you're going to run across 4, 5, 6 things that are going to catch your eye, and it's going to be awesome.
Imagine Jazz on Jefferson on steroids.
Yeah.
How we have all of these different things. You just kind of stroll throughout the community and you see different things that are going on. I know that there's something that is taking place with I forget the name of the group. Lead is doing their food trucks over in.
They're not food trucks.
What are they? What are they?
They're going to have a bunch of vendors. And stuff. There's going to be a whole thing at Morley Plaza. They did have to pivot away from the food stuff because there's too much food at the Jolt.
But that's what we love to do. We love to eat food. But there will be tons of food, tons of activities. I'm excited about it. Go ahead.
And something that involves the two of us on Sunday, the 26th, there's going to be a community faith day going on at the Jolt Credit Union Event Park, and you and I will be broadcasting it live on 100.5 FM WSGW, beginning at either 12:30 or 1. I don't have the exact time.
I think it was 1 o'clock is what I was told.
Okay, better be 1 then.
It was 1 o'clock is what I was told. So it should be a lot of fun for the community, for the kids, and that's just what's happening here. Honestly, when I was looking at now Frankenmuth is one of those cities that you could literally on just an off Tuesday go to Frankenmuth and there is a dog show that has 60,000 people from all over the place coming. It is one of those tourist destinations, one of the gyms that we have here in the Michigan, the mid-Michigan region of the Great Lakes Bay region, and it is really going to be the center. It would be, I would say, ground zero of activities as it relates to the teams and the players, with all of their shops and their restaurants, outdoor venue space, concerts. It is going to be bananas if you really want to have a good time. And I'm sure this is what most people, this is funny. This is what I say about white folks. This is where I say this is interesting, because white people can have fun anywhere, and if you add a beer tent, it is a celebration.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm sure there will be plenty of beer tents that are out here, to have. And I think I'm saying that, and it's funny because I think that life should be that simple. Life should be so simple that all you have to do is get good people together, enjoy what you do, some good food, fun, and if it's adult beverages that you like, and that should be a good time. We're going to see that and so much more coming into our region. And I wasn't excited before because I'm not much of a hockey person, but I think I'm getting a little Saginaw spirit fever starting to happen, where I'm actually getting excited about everything that's happening. And
there's going to be, the thing is, there's something for non-hockey fans. I'd say there's more for non-hockey fans than there is hockey specific going on. The games are just going to be starting at 7:30 at the Dow Event Center.
Yeah.
And that's
all
fun.
day long.
But all day long, there's going to be some crazy stuff going on all around.
And actually, I shouldn't say that, because I grew up as a kid. I'm one of them black kids who've had non-black experiences or non-traditional experiences. So used to do the hockey thing. Used to ice skate. I took some kids ice skating recently, and I will be taking kids to the hockey game. So shout out to Saginaw Spirit, Craig Gosling, Jimmy Green. Making sure that the kids in the community are having those opportunities. And also, if your kids are interested, they can come down. And if they don't know anything about hockey itself, come down. Field hockey, which is something that we used to do in gym. Everybody had to be exposed to it. They're going to be teaching the game of hockey by allowing kids to learn field hockey. There's some tournaments that are going on. I think it's 6 to 12 age divisions. It is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited. I'm really, really, really getting excited about it. I'm not excited about the traffic, but I am excited about that. And then also, as I was saying, Stars has shuttles that are moving from Saginaw to Frankenmuth, and from Frankenmuth to Birch Run back, and then to Midland, all over the place. And then they just have those, what I call cruiser shuttles, that will allow people to jump on a shuttle get around town, go downtown, and you have an opportunity that way to be able to see. And I think a lot of those shuttles are probably being done free of service.
The downtown ones will be free of charge. Yep.
Yeah. So just jump on a shuttle and just kind of see and find out what's to do. Become a tourist in your town. I think that's so very, very important. So I wasn't even expecting to talk about the Saginaw Spirit, but when we got in here, I started talking about like, this is really cool. But I want to talk really quickly because I think this is interesting. There is a situation that occurred, and we've talked on here about the intersection of communities of color, actually, particularly Black men and law enforcement. And so today there is an airman whose name was Roger Fortson. He's 23 years old in Florida, in his apartment, which is not far from the military base that's down there. He was, I think the name of the base is Chez Allen Apartments is the name of the place. The base is Operations Wing at Hulbert Field is what it's called, Special Operations. But he was in his apartment FaceTiming with his girlfriend. And I guess the police knocked at the door. He heard the knock on the door. Initially, he didn't hear it, but he heard the bang as they started banging. And he was thinking to himself, like, who's banging on my door like they're crazy? So he went and did what I think a lot of us would do, depending on where you live. And he grabbed his firearm and went to the door. When on his way to the door, these individuals, these officers, state sheriff's officers in Florida, kicked in the door and saw him with his weapon in his hand. They were making certain demands. Had an opportunity to see the body cam on this. It was really kind of crazy. I was like, this is bananas. And I'm really kind of surprised that they just show us everything these days. Body cams are good, but it was a very horrific situation. They said, hey, step back. He was stepping back, and as he stepped back with firearm in hand, he was shot 6 times by one of the sheriff's officers that was there for a disturbance that had been reported. However, they were in the wrong location because he was in a place by himself having a conversation with his girlfriend on FaceTime. She saw his dead body hit the ground. You hear reports, hey, he's down. No life support was given, as we saw. Any life-saving techniques were applied at that time. The guy died shortly after at the hospital. And so Ben Crump, civil rights attorney, is out there having this conversation. Like, how many times do these types of things have to happen? And we have a conversation, and many people always want to say that it's training. And once again, this is poor training. But I think in addition to a lack of really not just regular police kind of training, but training on implicit bias, training and teaching people how to deal and how to feel comfortable in communities that they don't come from. Because I really believe a lot of this stuff happens because we have officers that are not necessarily from the communities that they're policing, that are kind of afraid. They carry a fear. One, nobody wants to go to work and die. Let's just be honest about that, right? But how we see certain individuals and who those individuals are and what they represent and what they might do to us. I think there is an inherent fear that exists in many white communities of Black people. And that's not to be racist. That's just to be honest. I remember when I went to Michigan State, and this is 1991. And my roommates were from the east part of the thumb here in Michigan, Kindy and Bad Axe, Paul Penfold and Mike Veers. They became some of my greatest friends and a great part of my college experience. Who thought, a brother from the city and 2 country bumpkins from the eastern side of the thumb could become such great friends. But we used to joke about that and laugh about it. But they came in, and it was interesting because I'm thinking, like, everybody has seen Black people. Everyone knows somebody Black. And I was the first Black person that they had ever seen
Really?
in person. And I'm like going, are you like, I am the first. They're like, no, you're the first Black person we've ever seen. Like, we've seen them on TV. I kid you not. They're like, we've seen Black people on TV. And he goes, but we've never seen them in person. So when we came, they would always lock their door. We were suite mates. And so me and my roommate, who's happened to be an Italian guy, looks white. We were in one, and we shared a bathroom together. We were suite mates, and they would always lock their door. We would leave our door wide open. And so one day their door was open, and I just knocked on the door, went over, and they're like, "Hey." And I introduced myself, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm Mike, and I'm Paul. Mike Beers, Paul Penfold." And I was sitting there, and I was
Way
like,
to
"Those
just
names."
call them out on the air.
I mean, it's funny because we laughed about it later. But what was interesting, as they got to know me, they're like, "You want to go to lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go eat." And as we got to know each other, just building that relationship, tearing down those walls, we realized we had so many things in common, and so much of my first 2 years at Michigan State, my freshman and sophomore years, was centered around the craziness and the zaniness that we spent together. And in that, we had so many powerful conversations of race. And so I said, "Hey, I got a question," because I already knew the answer. Like, every time you guys would leave, why did you guys always like lock your door and close your doors when we're both in both rooms? And they were like, "Because we told you we never seen black people before, and the only images that we saw, they were like murderers or rapers or killers." And so they said we were scared. And I think that there are a lot of people who are in those positions that then come to a city like Saginaw or like a city like Philadelphia because they want to be in law enforcement, and they're afraid of black people. And it's sad, but if you haven't had those interactions and the only thing that you see is how the media portrays us, there's an amazing movie for those who are listening, titled "How They See Us," and it really centers around the images that and how white people feel about black people. Not that they're trying to be racist, but you don't know what you don't know, and you usually have a tendency to fear the things that you don't know. And it gives a great expose on how we are seen as people in the community that I want to be a viable part of the community, and that idea of a drug lord, of a gangster, of a murderer, of someone who's going to do something ill is one of the images that is often portrayed in media. And when we see these images on TV, and just think about it as you guys are watching TV, where they're seeing things are changing some, but the most popular shows that are on TV in many communities, The Wire and The Shy, they are exacerbating and continually pushing those narratives of who black people are. That's why Byron Allen, one of my great friends, in terms of media, he is doing great things. It's important, and representation matters. So let's think about those things as we move forward. It's not always just about, these people are racist, but why do they feel, and why are we seeing these things? And I think a lot of it has to do with cultural biases, implicit bias, and the fact that they fear things that they don't see. I was going to get in here and talk a little bit, because what is really on my mind is what's happening on campuses with these pro-Palestinian protests. Jonathan, what are you thinking? Go ahead. You can.
I think everybody's got the right to protest. Everybody's got the right to voice their opinion. And that is the first thing that makes America so awesome. However, if you're breaking the rules of a municipality, or if you're breaking the rules of an institution where you are, that institution or that municipality also has the right to remove you. And I think a lot of the response has been disproportionate, but also we see the encampments, the taking over of buildings and things. Obviously,
Holding people hostage.
Obviously, that's not okay. We can't do that. But it's a prickly situation. But there are historical things that I draw parallels to and say, look at how we look at like the bonus army, when a bunch of veterans camped out in Washington, D.C., and how they were treated. Is that how we're going to talk about these college protesters being treated?
It's definitely an interesting conversation, and we're going to talk about that as in one of our future shows, because I'm intrigued by it, because I believe in the power of your voice and the power of protest. But I think that what we're seeing, and it's been said by several individuals, that this is this current president, current day Vietnam. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more United Shades of Gray.
You're listening to United Shades of Gray on WSGW.
This is Kareem. We're back with more United Shades of Gray, conversations of race in America. Well, we got one for you on today. I was really interested, and I've been holding back from really having conversations about it until I really just kind of saw how things were going to fall. But today we're going to talk about, is race a factor in the advancement of a player, in the advancement a player receives from corporate endorsements. Excuse me, my tongue is getting stuck at the roof of my mouth. But how does race factor in this whole idea of corporate endorsements? We see a lot happening with the NIL. We now see, and I'm going to speak particularly, I think that this has been a conversation that has been ongoing for a very long time. I know that in the time that I was spending, the 18 years I spent with the NBA, and now it is back to the forefront with this new emergence of love and fanfare with the WNBA. And I hate that my man Mark is not here. For those of you that love Mark, and I know that many of you are, you think that he's absolutely funny and interesting in how he shapes his opinions. He's going to be probably on hiatus for a couple of weeks here. He is coming back to Saggy. That's
Right over my head.
If you know what the reference was from. Biggie used to make the reference. But anyways, he will be coming back, and he'll be in studio once again. So I'm excited for him doing that. But we always talk about women's sports, and I would always make the argument that, I hate that they do not, that women don't get the same treatment that male athletes get, and in terms of endorsements and opportunities and these types of things. And he always says, Kareem, the reason they're not gonna get any money because nobody wants to watch them play. It's boring and they don't make much money. I'm kind of improvising, but something of the sort. Is that pretty close? He's like, no one, it's because they don't bring in the money and the attendance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's propped up by the NBA.
Yeah. And so it's the NBA that keeps the WNBA relevant. Well, what a difference a day makes. We have now seen, and of course, it's nowhere by means what we're seeing in men's basketball, but the emergence over the past few years of these amazing players. And I think the WNBA, I used to always watch the Shock and the Spark. Lisa Leslie and she was a really great friend. We brought her here to Michigan. She came and did some basketball camp. So great friends. So I would watch these individuals, Diana Taurasi, and just different ones that were playing basketball. And I'm like, these women are balling. But now, as of late, the new name on the scene is Caitlin Clark. And we're going to have a conversation about this because Caitlin's fanship, her fandom, her personality, and a number of things have brought new eyeballs to the team. She and Angel Reese, and their battle to be number one in college and now transitioning to the big dance, have brought such an interesting conversation about race and the play on race in this whole dynamic. And I want to just kind of begin this conversation. I think it would be great to have this conversation. I'm going to reach out to some of my professional athletes. It would be great if we get Lisa Leslie in this conversation, who not only is an African-American woman, but also a veteran, happens to be the first first female to ever dunk in an actual basketball game. There's others who have done it since then. Brittany Griner, I think, is the one that was in hostage in Russia. Wow, I see her. That is a tall drink of water, and she's big. She's big. But they're voicing their opinions on this conversation. And what happens is, I just want to kind of give you some numbers, and then we'll preface the conversation that way. First of all, Caitlin Clark has been absolutely amazing. She was the number one draft pick this year. As we've seen her and Angel Reese go to head, they have been spectacular to watch. They're exciting. I think Caitlin's what she brings to the court is the 3-point range, amazing range. She can shoot a jumper if there was to be a female version of Steph Curry, it will kind of be her. That's kind of the kind of game she plays. Not big, high flying, that kind of thing. That's not her MO. She is a shooter, and she's shooting from ranges that a lot of women have not typically shot from. So that is the thing. Wow, the girls got range. And so then we see also another and Caitlin's white, in case you didn't know. If you're under the rock, you didn't know that. She's a young white girl with phenomenal talent. Then there was Angel Reese, who also she's a big girl, tall girl, great skills. She can shoot the ball. She can handle. She is. And so we saw these two play, and Angel Reese has won a championship. And I think Caitlin may have won one as well. They didn't win this year. They were put out, and they were, this is where this begins. So the story now, she is, the best female basketball player, in college of all times. And she's saying this to the state champion the national champion who actually won, who has a greater scoring record than she does. And also holds a few other records that Caitlin was not able to break. So she happens to be African-American. So the conversation now becomes, is the Caitlin fever? Why is there such an extreme fever around her? I'm excited because I've always wanted women's basketball to get more exciting and to get more play, because I think that they were doing great work out there. But the conversation has now emerged. Like, okay, are you saying she's the best of all time because she's white? Or are you saying that she's the best of all time? Because otherwise, if you look at the stats, she doesn't possess all of the statistics. Now, in terms of score, I think she's third or second all-time scoring leader overall. And so the one who holds it is black. And so there's just been this thing going on. Were you going to say something, Jonathan?
Nope.
Jonathan's like, not me, not yet.
I am out of my depth here.
Okay, John's not a sport, not the sport. He's not a sports guy. If we had our bloopers, this would definitely be a blooper show. I promise you.
Well, when you walked in, you said, "I figured you weren't gonna really know much about sports, and now you're going into women's sports, women WNBA stuff." Way out of my depth.
Way out of your league.
Yeah.
But so this is the thing. So Caitlin has now Angel Reese, Caitlin, and others have now gone into the league. I think Caitlin stands to make $338,000 plus dollars from her NBA contract, which she was drafted number 1. But arenas were being sold out. Attendance at college women's basketball games were being sold out. And really, this is my take on it. And I've seen this a million times. And this is why this is a great conversation on race. Because I've been seeing these athletes do this for a very long time. But this is the first time that we've had a young white girl with the skills and the ability. And trust me, she's a phenom. She's bad. I'm never going to take that away from her. But I think that she is driving an audience of young white suburban kids that wouldn't normally go to see other folks play basketball, that are intrigued, because now, as I talk about the importance of representation, they see someone who looks like them, that is doing, what these other girls who have, been doing for a long time. And it's exciting. And I completely understand that. It's the same argument that I make about how representation matters with Barbie dolls and in other aspects. We were just talking about it with media at the top part of the show. So when you see yourself on TV and you see it makes you excited. And so there has been this drove of individuals that are running and fleeing. Her jersey's selling out. People are going crazy. It is really fandemonium as it relates to it. And I'm excited about it. Now, here are the issues that kind of get convoluted. So 338, I told you, is what her contract will be from the team. I think it's like for a 3 or 4 year contract. Very bare minimum. She's not making a ton of money. That's why they go overseas and other places to play. However, something that we see here, she's making a $28 million contract. $28 million from Nike. And I think it averages like $3 million something over the course of 8 years. It's roughly $30 million or something like that. And not only is she with Nike, because everybody was in the hunt for her, but she is also in the process of getting a shoe, her signature shoe deal. Washington, D.C. is calling me. I'm needed by the president and other people. So I don't know if you can take that or not, Jonathan. But anyway, so we're sitting here. So she's going to get a signature shoe deal, which is not typically something that is happening, especially in female sports. Uh, in fact, of all of the people that I talked to you about, of the Lisa Leslies, the Underwoods, all of these amazing players that have been out there, there's only 3 that Nike have ever had with their own signature shoe, and all of them happen to be Caucasian women. So people were having issues like, okay, why is this happening? Angel Reese, I'm not even sure what her deal or her situation was with Nike. However, I know that she made a decision instead of be someone's, stepchild or little sister, or niece. She said that she would go to Reebok because they didn't have a kind of like a branding image of that was a woman, and she wanted to go over there. So they have been working, and I must say that this deal with Reebok only came after Shaquille O'Neal, and everyone knows Shaquille O'Neal. He is just this big teddy bear funny guy that is now on TV doing things. Are you going to say something now, John?
I was just going to say, I told you I'm not a sports guy. Who are these names you're throwing around? I know who Shaq is.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't know Shaq, we're going to go basketball 101 so we can have these base conversations. But Shaquille O'Neal is now, I think he's like the president or something, and the marketing director for Reebok Sports. And this deal comes on the heels of him now accepting this new role with Reebok. And in addition to that, she just announced, I think it may have been like a week ago, that she's going to get her own signature shoe, which is great. And I think that that's amazing. However, the people are saying, okay, now Caitlin Clark she's played her first couple of games, has done a really good showing. I mean, she was the number 1 pick, which means she was drafted by the worst team in the league in order to become the number 1 pick. And so oftentimes that individual doesn't come in and make the impact right away, but she is doing well as it relates to her individual statistics. I don't see where there's been a great let off. They have their first home opener coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how she continues to play. Now, an individual by the name of Jamil Hill, Go Green, is a fellow MSU alumni. She used to work for the Lansing, the Michigan, the Spartan newspaper, whatever was it called, the Spartan Journal. And she used to write, and her and Larry Lage used to be out there. Go Larry, who also now I think works for the Lansing State Journal. They used to work on campus newspapers. She then went on to have an amazing career with ESPN, and she is now a commentator. She has a blog that people follow, and she is one of the great names when you talk about women in sports. She is one of those great personalities and commentators that contributes to those conversations. She said that she noticed that there were disparities, and she said, I ain't hating on Caitlin. Caitlin is a phenomenal player. However, there are other players like Asia Wilson, and that's who she brought into the conversation. Asia Wilson is very accomplished as a WNBA athlete. She is a 2-time world champion, 2-time MVP of the WNBA, as well as a 5-time All-Star already in the league. And it's like, she doesn't have a signature shoe. And so the conversation has been, when you look at the Asia Wilsons and you look at folks like Lisa Leslie and other people who have been consistently in the league doing what they were doing, making great things happen, why haven't they been given signature shoes? And so someone would say because they were Black. And, she's like, I don't know what the reason is, but I know that they deserve one. Not that she doesn't, but the fact that they should be looked at. And so there were other people who came in and other people who were on the descending side of this. And this is why I say this is a really interesting conversation. And they brought something into play. And I think this is where you're going to have something that you're going to want to say as we talk about this, Jonathan, because they brought up the difference between talent and marketability. And so they said, those other individuals were very talented, but Caitlin comes in as being more marketable. And I think, to me, this is the essence of the dissent between this conversation, because what makes Caitlin more marketable in terms of what she does versus the other African-American women who we've talked about who haven't received the benefits of their ability to play on the court. And so I said, wow, that's kind of a, interesting thing. As we add to this, Asia Wilson is also, not only has she been 5-time All-Star, 2-time world champion, 2-time MVP of the WNBA, which Caitlin is just coming into and hasn't received. She is also a bestseller on the New York Times bestsellers list. In addition to that, she has a tremendous social media presence and social media following. So if it's about marketability, if you're selling, your best seller on the New York Times, doesn't that mean that you have to be marketable? And so the conversation of why these things happen is now coming to the forefront. Hearing what you hear, Jonathan, what are your initial thoughts about that conversation?
Well, it's always been the case that the more marketable people are going to win out over the more talented players. You can point to any sport and talk about how, well, this player actually deserves all of the attention that this other player is getting. Well, this other player is more charismatic, carries themselves a different way, and has the better agent or whatever.
And I'll tell you, agents do make a big difference. But I think, and I'm going to be very transparent in when I say this, because I think that what you're saying is true. These women, when I look at Angel Reese, not only is she an athlete, but she's absolutely gorgeous. And so she has been doing things, I think, with like L'Oreal Cosmetics. She was invited to the Met. This is how big her social media presence is. She was invited to the Met Gala.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is huge in terms of their presence. She quite easily could turn in her high tops for high heels and walk the runways. And so she has, she came in, I think, with 3 different major designer dresses in at the Met Gala. Absolutely gorgeous. And so I think that when we think about this, I think that what makes, and I'm gonna just be very honest with this situation with Caitlin reminds me of Larry Bird. It reminds me of Steve Nash. There was a conversations during those seasons where, Larry Bird, I could not stand Larry Bird, but I love to see Larry Bird play against Magic Johnson. And so the thing was, who's the greatest, Magic Johnson or Larry Bird? Arguably, most people would probably say Magic Johnson, but I think Larry Bird is such an amazing athlete. And I don't think that Magic Johnson would have been Magic Johnson if there was never a Larry Bird. It was the rivalry that everyone loved to see, because I think in this particular situation, white America had an athlete that they could look at and be like, wow, okay, I didn't come from where Magic came from. I didn't have the experiences that Magic had. But Larry Bird, he came from the Northeast. I'm from Boston. He's from Boston. I'm from white America. He's from white America. He's white like I'm white. And so I think it's just natural that we are drawn to those things now. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. The problem that I have is when we talk about marketability. And I think that it's problematic. We have a problem as a nation when we see someone who has amazing talent and we're not drawn to their talent, but we may be drawn simply to them because because they look like us. And I think that what we see is suburban moms and suburban dads, because sports are such a huge thing now. Everyone's kid on the AAU circuit, which I think is what is the demise of real fundamental basketball these days. Everyone on the AAU circuit has the potential to at least go to college. Now we live in a situation, not only are you going to college, and the NIL has a lot to do with the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Because before, all these white kids were thinking like, I ain't going to school for basketball. There's no way I'm going to make it. There's no way I'm going to go to the WNBA or the NBA for that matter, right? But now you don't have to go to the NBA. You don't have to be the best on your team. All you simply have to do is if you can
be
make
marketable.
Be marketable.
Yep.
And so now I think that is one of the things that makes Caitlin a phenomenon that no one's talking about. It is the cross section between having a young white girl who is doing things that I've only seen black girls do in the manner that she's doing it. But now there's also this NIL piece where she can now capitalize on name, image, and likeness. And the fact that she is a unicorn in the sport she plays. And I don't know say because there's a lot of white girls. Because I tell you, Diana Taurasi was one of my favorite NBA players that was out there. So there's others, but she's doing it in a way, shooting from places that no one else has shot. I mean, like, you want to be a long range shooter. She's doing it. And so now that tied along with other girls who like, you mean I can just shoot and I don't have to dribble the ball through my legs. I can just stand there and I can shoot jumpers and I can get this. So now suburban moms, we're looking at an edge. We're always trying to figure out how can our kids get an edge and how can we get in the game and how can we set a precedence. You mean we can now not only go to college and be a bench rider and just get a scholarship, partial scholarship, and we can still make 50,000. Think about this. If you're on a team and now Michigan in March, the end of March, I think it was like March 28th, the House pushed a bill and passed a bill saying that high school players could capitalize on NIL. So you don't have to be the greatest. But think about this. If you make $30,000 in high school or $50,000 in high school, you now have created a very nice brand for you to go to college, and you can buy a car instead of having to figure out how you're going to get back and forth from school. When you get to school, you can now continually make money off of your brand. You don't have to make millions of dollars, but if you make $200,000, think about this, as a college player. If you make 80,000, 120,000, and you're graduating with a degree after having $200,000 in your bank account, you now are positioning yourself maybe in another America, not this America, the America of 10 years ago. You could actually buy a home. You can start out debt free. And so these are things that are very important. Go ahead.
Now, when you talk about graduating college with a degree and $120,000 in your pocket,
that's an inheritance.
Do you think that opportunity exists independent of race?
That does. And but I think that is a part of the phenomena of Caitlin.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark. I think because now I think little white girls and suburban moms, moms are the ones who drive their kids in these ways, and even dads in this situation. They see a way that their kids who were never going to get full ride scholarships, who were never going to be able to go to the next league, they see a way for them now to have viability even at the college level to where they can
something out of it,
to get something out of it other than just an education. And so I think that is a key piece of the conversation that we continually miss. It's not just Caitlin being white or black. I think that there is something to that. White America is excited when they see those players who look like them do great. And I think that we all feel that way. We felt that way when Barack Obama became president. However, I think that the intersection between her being a phenomenal athlete, as well as this new concept called the name, image, and likeness, the NIL money, is an additional piece that also promotes this. And so she can sell jerseys. She's going to sell shoes because there's a whole lot of people who have been waiting for someone who looks like them, pigtails, and she's not very bad looking at it either, but young white girls who grow up with the ability to shoot that now have found a niche in their market in sports that they're going to capitalize on it. Now, I think it's great for sports across the board. And as Asia Wilson was saying here, she's like, I'm not hating on anybody, because whenever one of us wins, it opens the door for many of the others to come through to have these great experiences. There is something to be said about the emerging talent that we now see happening with Reese and Clark, as well as those individuals who've been able to suffer. Think about it. When Kobe came in making the money he was making and LeBron came in, think about how Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal and Magic Johnson were feeling about the contracts that they were dealt. This is professional sports. I'm interested in hearing your take on it. Leave a message, give us a direct message, and we'll share your comments at a later time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you all. Grace and peace.